Hello, Central State Synod. How are you doing these days? A recent poll reflects that more than two-thirds of U.S. adults are experiencing greater anxiety regarding the presidential election. How does our faith help us to address this anxiety? What is our faith calling us to do? Our faith calls us to vote. As disciples of Jesus, we are called into this world that God so loves, sending the Christ to redeem and reconcile this world to God's very self. As disciples of Jesus, we are called to exercise our responsibility as citizens. For this is a way in which we care for this world that God so loves and has entrusted to us. Our faith calls us not out of this world, but into it as we participate in the inbreaking of God's reign. And so, as people of faith, we vote. Not only does our faith call us to vote, but our faith also affects the way we vote. I have no doubt that we will be voting for different candidates. But I pray that we will all be asking the same question as we vote. How does my vote for this candidate reflect love for my neighbor, for all my neighbors? For we know that Jesus came to bring good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to give release and freedom to those in captivity, those oppressed. We know that Jesus invited us into a way of life where those on the margins are embraced and where a table is set where all are welcome. We know that Jesus taught us that the greatest commandments are to love God and to love our neighbor. How does the way we vote reflect our obedience to Jesus' teachings? And how does the way we speak in these days, now and after the election, reflect the teachings of Jesus? As people of faith, we are called to speak up when there is injustice, when there are actions being taken that harm our neighbor. Please do not misunderstand me and think that I am asking us to be wishy-washy or to, out of some sense of niceness and fear of offending anyone, not challenge one another and boldly speak the truth. But it does matter how we speak. As people of faith, we speak the truth with compassion and with humility, for we recognize that those individuals that hold differing views are also our neighbors. One of the guiding principles for the Center of Action and Contemplation is that the best way to criticize the bad is the practice of the better. The practice of the better. As people of faith, we are called to practice the better, to go the more excellent way. That is true now, and it will be true regardless of who wins this election. There are dire predictions out there predicting catastrophic results if this candidate wins or that candidate wins. But as people of faith, we know what is going to happen. We know what we are going to be doing. We are going to continue loving our neighbor. We are going to continue working for justice. We are going to continue to participate in God's reign throughout this world. For we know that regardless of who wins, this world belongs to God. So in these days of increased anxiety, I invite us to pray and breathe deeply into our very being, the Spirit of Christ, to stay focused and centered on the gospel, to love God and love our neighbor, to be people of faith. Thank you.